Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're watching me. My name is Tolu Joseph, and I quickly want to have a word with people, mothers, fathers, whose children are bedwetting. If all I am going to achieve with this video is to stop you from beating your child for bedwetting, then I am okay. I will feel fulfilled. All right, so I see a lot of parents who get angry, who become furious, seeing that their child has actually bedwetted, and then they pick up cane and beat the child mercilessly. I want to tell you with everything in me that it is wrong. It is wrong because beating is never going to correct something that is within. Beating is never going to correct something that is medical. For your child to be bedwetting, the child has a complication or complications with the bladder. And it is so sad that you're not looking beyond the physical. You're not you're not interested in finding out what is causing it. I'm sure you must have made a lot of conclusions that maybe the child is lazy, maybe the child eats a lot, maybe the child drinks water a lot during the day and all of that. But I hope you know that there are children who do all of those things you believe your child is doing. There are children who eat a lot, there are children who drink a lot, there are children who play a lot during the day and they don't bedwet. I'm sure you know there are those children. So for your child to be bedwetting, it goes beyond he is lazy, she is lazy, or he or she drinks too much water during the day. It goes beyond that. It goes beyond that. So instead of you beating your child with anger, instead of you maltreating your child because the child has the bedwetting condition, why not be interested in supporting that child, in helping that child overcome the condition? What are you doing about it? So please, I am begging you, if your child is having the bedwetting condition, stop beating that child. Stop beating that child. Cane is never going to correct the bladder. Cane is never ever going to correct the bladder. You have to take the right steps. You have to take the right actions. Okay? And what are some of these things that you can do? Number one, number one, I know that many parents, many parents like to give their children fizzy drinks, soft drinks, Pepsi, Fanta, Coke, this and that. Please, if you love your child and you really want that child to overcome the bedwetting condition, stop all those sugary things. Not just sugary things, soft drinks specifically. You should stop every other thing too. Chocolate, eating of sweet all the time, you know, taking sugar uncontrollably and all of those things. But fizzy drinks especially, ensure that your child stops them at least for now. And when I say for now, it can go as far as a year, as far as 3 years, as far as 5 years. Do you know that fizzy drinks normally are not even good for us? Forget about the fact that someone is having the bedwetting condition. Fizzy drinks are not healthy. They are not healthy. Yes, I know that as adults we can take it once in a while. For me, I don't like them anyway. But I see people who depend on fizzy drinks as if that is the whole essence of their life. I know someone who cannot do a day without taking Coke. I mean, a day, 24 hours cannot pass without this person taking Coke. And then I'm wondering the kind of things that would have built up in that person's body by now. But let's leave that. If you want to help your child, if you really know that you're not comfortable with the fact that your child is bedwetting, you really need to do something about it. That fizzy drinks should get out of the diet of your child. Because you see those fizzy drinks, they contain substances that are not good for the urinary tract. Our urinary system helps to make or produce urine. When you take fizzy drinks, your urinary system produces urine in an uncontrollable manner. Okay? So when you now give them to children, I'm sure you know that their systems are still very fragile, still growing, and all of that, and you're subduing the urinary system of such, young children to fizzy drinks. It can be very, very detrimental. Please take it out of their diet. Take it out of their diet. All right. Now, the second thing is that you should ensure that your child is taking enough water under your control because it's still a child. If it was an adult, I would have said directly to the adults that you should control or gauge your water intake. Take enough water, but control it. There is a way you control. Generally, we believe that people who bedwet actually bedwet because they take a lot of water during the day. It is not totally true. Someone who bedwet actually need enough water. They need more water. They need more water because for somebody to be bedwetting, there is a likelihood that their what's it called? Their urinary tract is dealing with so much toxic substances, and the toxic substances end up going into the bladder. And I'm sure you know that urine stays in our bladder for some hours before we excrete it. So if you're making concentrated urine, when I say concentrated urine, you have more toxic substances in that urine than water. So if you're making concentrated urine as an individual and your urine is sitting in your bladder for hours, there are two possible um, damages. The first one, those toxic substances can bind with your muscle, the muscle of your bladder, and begin to damage it. The second problem is that it can cause urinary tract infection. It may not, happen immediately, but as you continue to make concentrated urine every now and then, it can affect the bladder of that child. It can affect your bladder. So, making a child to drink enough water during the day is actually doing two things. Number one, to get rid of all those toxic substances out of the body so that the child can be making less concentrated urine. Less concentrated urine is actually more healthy. It is healthier for your bladder. It is healthier for your bladder than concentrated urine. So that is what you're achieving with that water. So let that child take enough water during the day and ensure that as much as the child is taking water, he or she is also using the toilet as often, because that's the whole essence of asking that child to take enough water during the day. But ensure you gauge it. At least your child should take 2 to 2.5 liters of water in a day. That's about 4 sachets of water. So put a gauge to it. Excuse me. Put a gauge to it, right? And the second thing that water is going to be doing is that since of enuresis, constipation is one of the culprits of enuresis. I'm sure you know what constipation is. Usually it is caused by indigestion. And you see, when indigestion happens, it means that the colon, which is also called the large intestine, is bulky with undigested food. And this large intestine is actually close to the bladder, right? So when it becomes bulky, it is placing pressure on the bladder, making the bladder to lose control. I don't know if you're getting me. So when you make your child drink enough water during the day, aside from the fact that the water is going to help to get rid of toxic substances, it is also going to ease the bowel of that child. It is going to make the child to, pull, to speed up digestion so that the child can actually release whatever it is that is in the large intestine. So somebody who bedwet actually need more water. Don't don't believe this myth of if you take too much water, that is when you will bedwet. No, the only thing is that you have to control it, you have to gauge it. Now, this is where the control is. Let your child take enough water from the early hours of the day, right, till something around 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Any moment after that time, please stop your child from taking water. If the child now has any reason why he or she should take water at that time, let it just be a sip, not just gulping the water down, right? So please ensure you stick to this. It is going to help your child. It is going to help your child. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is about dinner. And this is actually attached to the second one I spoke about, that's water therapy. So this one is about dinner. See, if you're going to deal with bedwetting, you have to make it a habit to take your dinner early. So do the same thing for your child. Don't be that mother who gives the child dinner around 8 p.m., 9 p.m. No, 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 no. If you're going to deal with enuresis, you have to form that habit. I don't know how you're going to do it, but please, you have to do it. Dinner should not be later than 7 p.m. for a child that bedwets. And I need to quickly say this. When I'm saying a child, a child, a child, I don't mean children between the ages of 1 and 5. If your child between the ages of 1 and 5 is bedwetting, I don't see any reason why you should be anxious or you should be troubled that much. I am not saying that you should not pay attention. Yes, you should pay attention. At least if it is becoming too much or it is too frequent, you should pay attention so that at least you can curtail it before the child grows older, right? But I'm just trying to say that between ages 1 and 5, a child is expected to bedwet. Almost every one of us actually bedwetted as a child. That one is normal. So it is part of the development or the development of every individual. So your child who is 1, who is 2, who is 3, who is 4 may bedwet. That should not cause um, anxiety for you. But when your child of 6 years, 7 years, 8, 10, 11, 12 is bedwetting, you should take action. You should take action. There are many things to um, overcoming the bedwetting condition, but for the sake of time, I have just shared 3 with you. Just follow me. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. Follow my bedwetting page. I have a bedwetting page on Facebook, and keep reading the tips I drop. It is going to help. It is going to help. And I need to also mention this. There are 2 ways you can actually deal with bedwetting. The first one is the pharmacological means of dealing with bedwetting, and the second one is the non-pharmacological means of dealing with bedwetting. The first one, which is pharmacological, means that you take drug, right? You take drugs to deal with bedwetting, to treat bedwetting, to bring your bladder back to shape. Do you get? It is not bad, and it is also bad. I don't advocate it. I do not advocate the pharmacological way of dealing with enuresis, and this is why. The drugs that are used for dealing with or for treating enuresis, they are not they're not just simple drugs. They are drugs made with heavy substances. As a biologist, I know what heavy substances mean, right? I may not be able to explain it to your understanding here, but they are made with heavy substances. That's one. So they are not even over the counter drugs. They're not drugs that you can just go to the pharmacy and say, oh, I want to buy. No. They are drugs that you can only buy when they are prescribed for you. Okay? And the second reason is that, or let me say the major reason is that these drugs don't give a long lasting result. Many of those who have used them, they come back to say that, oh, the bedwetting actually stopped maybe for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months, but all of a sudden it started again. right? And that is not a story that has been said by one person, two persons, three persons. It has been said by a lot of people, right? So, and when you realize that, yes, the drugs are working, although they are not giving, you know, a durable result, but because you know they are working, you would want to stick to them, to continue to take them in order to stay dry. Do you get it? So because you want to stay dry, you want to keep using the drugs. Do you know what that means? Before you know it, you become addicted to those drugs. You become addicted, you want to stay on them. That means that you cannot stay dry without those drugs. Your bladder will not work perfectly, it will not function properly until you use those drugs. That is addiction. And you can't be on drugs forever for the sake of bedwetting. That's a very wrong way of getting one's healing. Like, it is the most inconvenient way of dealing with enuresis. Now, the other way, which is the non pharmacological means, and before I move on to the second one, once addiction sets in, once addiction sets in, remember I said that most of those drugs are made with heavy substances. From there, you're going to be having other complications. I mean, you're going to be, most of them have a lot of terrible side effects that, you can't even imagine. These are drugs that can alter how the brain functions, how the spinal cord works. I don't know if you are getting it, how the nerves of the body work. So they can actually affect a lot of things. And I don't want a situation whereby somebody is trying to deal with enuresis, bedwetting, and then you are getting yourself into a bigger problem, into a bigger trouble. That's not nice. Okay, so that's why I do not advocate it. I don't. Now, the other way, which is a non pharmacological way of dealing with bedwetting, has to do with two major things, and I love it so much. Two major things. The first one is diet modification, and lifestyle modification. Modification of diet and modification of lifestyle. See, if you want to if you want to get a hang of enuresis, if you want to see the end of it, just go this way. You're going to have, yes, it will take time. You see, the other one that has to do with drugs, it will happen quickly, in a rush. The result will come within a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you see your result. But it will not last. It will not last. This other one will take time. See, I'm sure you already know me. You know my name, you know my story. You know my story. I had the bedwetting condition for over 20 years. It wasn't a joke. I mean, when I'm talking, when I say to people who come to me for counseling, when I say to them that I know how you feel, I understand your pains, I know your agony, they're not just words of the lips. I'm saying those things from a place of understanding because I was once in those shoes. I don't know if you get me. So I know I know what it means to have the bedwetting condition. I know what it means, right? So I I quite understand what people go through with the condition. So it will take time. It will take time. The non-pharmacological means will take time. I remember I was on, this is one of the many things I did, right? And that is alarm clock, the use of alarm clock. This is something I still tell people. I still recommend to people. Some people will come back to me and say, "Oh, it's not working. It's not waking me up. The alarm will ring and ring and ring. I will not wake up." I tell them, "Calm down. Keep using it." The fact that you did not wake up the first day of of using the alarm does not mean it is not working. You cannot understand what is going on in the sleep realm. You can't understand. Don't worry. Just keep using it. You see, People who have the bedwetting condition, they usually have problem with deep sleep, right? And what alarm clock, because alarm clock has been, the use of alarm clock has actually been scientifically proven to work effectively for the control of enuresis. So this is it. What it does is actually to um call you back to consciousness. You know, you sleep deep. For that alarm clock to call you back from the place of, I mean, from the depth of your sleep, it will not happen in a day. It will not happen in 2 days. It will not happen in 3 days. Do you know this is like a, I think, is it ripple effect now? It's just like when you're trying to cut down a tree and you keep, cutting and cutting and cut. It is not the first day, especially if it's a very big tree. It is not it is not at the first hitting that the tree will fall. It will continue to hit, right? And at the end of the day, when the tree now falls, it is not that last hitting that you did that fell that tree. It is actually the effect of all the hitting that you've been doing, the cutting that you've been doing. So that's the same thing with this alarm clock. Keep using it. You think that you did not wake up, but something has happened in your sleep realm. Something has happened. Something is happening as it rings every day. As it rings every day, it is calling you back to consciousness. One day, your system is going to align. Your system, as the alarm clock rings, as you use it daily, your body system is getting used to it. I'm not going to say more than that. This is not about alarm clock, because I think alarm clock is not even one of the three things I mentioned in this video. So let's move on. So the two major things under the non-pharmacological way or method of dealing with enuresis is modification of diet and modification of lifestyle. So you have to be intentional with that your child. Be intentional. If it is the water therapy, be intentional about it, be consistent. Let your child know that this is serious business. You're trying to achieve something, there is a goal ahead of you that you're trying to achieve. Do it with all your might. Be patient. Yes, be patient, but be consistent. Be consistent. The first one was cutting down sugary things, fizzy drinks. If you're not disciplined, you cannot do it. Let's leave the fact that if I was talking to adults, I know there are some adults who cannot even discipline themselves. It's a big deal when you tell them to stop drinking, all of those things. But let me talk to you as a mother or as a father now, as a parent. You are helping your child to stop fizzy drinks. I know there are some parents who are not even disciplined enough to not give their child fizzy drinks. Every time they buy, they want to give the child. Every time they want to, but sometimes when they're even trying to, probably reward the child. I'm talking about children of maybe age 7, age 8, age 9 now. You're trying to pamper the child, or you're going to school, then you're packing all of those sweet, 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 sweet things in the child's lunch box. You have to be disciplined enough. See, call your child, have a discussion with that child. Usually, when parents come to me to counsel their children, I always ask them that please permit me to speak directly to your child. And that is what I do tell people who reach out to me on Facebook too. Some people, do you know that there's some people who actually have the bedwetting condition, and they will come. I know this method. I've gotten used to this method, so I know already. When people are lying, I know. So they come around, they say something like, I have a sister of 23 years old, is still bedwetting. Please, how can you help? Blah 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 blah. And the first thing I say is, please, you have to be honest. You have to be truthful. Okay, the first thing I usually say is, please let the person reach out to me directly, because the truth is I don't do enuresis counseling by proxy. I don't counsel someone that is not having the condition to go and give the counsel to the actual person. No, it doesn't work that way. I have to speak from my heart directly into the heart of that person. When I speak directly to the person, there is a connection. I believe there is a connection. I am using my story as a point of contact, right? So there are things I need to tell you. Apart from, getting healed from the condition, I feel like there is a form of encouragement, there is a form of confidence I need to pour into you. There is a form of um there is there is a kind of courage I need to pour into you. You see that your lost hope, that your lost self-esteem, we need to deal with it. Do you get it? So I often tell people that, sorry, I cannot counsel you to go and counsel the actual person. Tell the person to come. Tell the person to reach out to me directly. Then we can talk. And then I found out that usually at least 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10, they will eventually now say, oh, sorry, actually, it is me having the condition. It is not another. I'm just trying to disguise so that I understand. I know it is not easy to come out plain, but please, please, this is a serious business. If you are not ready to damn the shame, the embarrassment, you may never get your healing. You may never get your healing. So, what am I saying? You have to be intentional. You have to modify your lifestyle. Ensuring that you're taking water very well during the day, trying to use the toilet during the day, sticking to the rule of taking dinner early, all those things, they are modification of lifestyles, they are modification of diet. Okay? So I believe that if you can stick to these things, you're going to record, you know, a great progress. You're going to record a great progress. So, thank you. Follow me on Facebook, like I said. Follow my bedwetting page. Follow me on Instagram and get tips on how to handle the bedwetting condition. Thank you so much. My regards to your child.